call of elephants shook the ground. And yet, in this grand and busy world, lived a woman who was always alone. Amma. Her hair was long and silver, spilling down her back like a waterfall of moonlight. Her hands were the size of boats, her feet like small hills pressing into the soil. She was no ordinary woman. Amma was 30 feet tall, so large that even the tallest tree seemed like a mere child beside her. But her size, her power, her strength, it had brought her no happiness. She lived on the edge of the forest, near a barren clearing where the land was dry and cracked. Her only shelter was a hollowed tree trunk, big enough for her to curl inside when the nights grew cold. The birds sometimes brought her berries. The monkeys sometimes left her stolen bananas. The deer trusted her shadow, sleeping beneath her legs. But animals could not fill the silence of her heart. Her only true companion was the lion. He was magnificent, broad-shouldered, golden, his mane wild and burning as though the sun itself had given him hair. The other animals feared him, for he was the king of the forest, but Amma saw something softer behind those golden eyes. The lion walked with her, hunted for her when she was weak, and at night, lay beside her enormous form, like a cub curling against his mother. Still, Amma felt alone. It was a cruel summer. The rains had not come for many moons. The ground split apart into jagged cracks, sharp as broken pottery. The streams dried into mud. Birds flew further each day, searching for water, and sometimes they did not return. Even the mighty elephant herds grew thin, their ribs showing beneath wrinkled skin. Amma felt the hunger and thirst of the forest as if it were her own. Her lips cracked, her throat burned, but worst of all was the ache in her chest. She watched the forest suffer, powerless. One evening, as the sun sank red and angry into the horizon, Amma sat upon a hill of stone. The lion lay at her feet, his chest rising and falling with slow, heavy breaths. She rested her chin upon her knees, staring at the dying forest. The silence pressed against her like a weight. She thought of all the nights she had sat like this, year after year, with no voice to answer hers, no hand to hold, no one to hear the ache in her heart. Her great chest rose and fell. "I am so alone," she whispered. Her voice rolled like thunder through the trees. The monkeys went still, birds paused mid-song, even the cicadas ceased their endless humming. The forest listened. The lion lifted his head, eyes shining golden in the dusk. "You are not alone," he said. His voice was deep, rough like gravel, yet there was warmth in it. Amma shook her head. "You are here, and still I feel it." The lion said nothing more, for even kings have no words for sorrow. A burning ache swelled behind Amma's eyes. She had not wept in many years. She was too large, too strong, too ancient for tears. But now, sitting above a dying world, the weight inside her broke. One tear slipped free. It rolled down her vast cheek, glittering in the dying sun, and fell. The drop was as large as a boulder. It struck the cracked ground with a thunderous crash. Dust leapt into the air. The earth shook beneath her. Where the tear landed, the soil darkened and softened, soaking in the salty water. Amma blinked. Another tear slid after the first. Then another. Each one struck the ground with the weight of thunder. The cracks filled, the dust melted into mud. And then, something miraculous began to happen. Tiny threads of water pulled together, joining like silver snakes until a small stream began to run downhill. The lion rose to his feet. His ears pricked forward. He padded to the newborn water and sniffed, then bent to drink. His tongue lapped the stream greedily, and when he lifted his head, droplets clung to his whiskers. Amma's tears fell faster now, not because of sorrow, but because of wonder. The stream spread wider, moving swiftly downhill, carving its way between rocks and roots. The trickle grew into a rush. The rush became a song. A river was being born. The forest awakens. The animals smelled it before they saw it. A herd of deer appeared first, their hooves trembling on the brittle soil. They lowered their heads to drink, their ears flicking with disbelief. Then came the elephants, trumpeting as they marched straight to the shining water, their trunks dipping deep. Birds swooped low, their feathers catching the shimmer, while monkeys shrieked with excitement from the branches above. Even the crocodiles, who had been starving in the dry marshes, came crawling toward the river Amma had birthed. The forest, once silent and gasping, roared to life again. Amma placed her vast hand upon the soil, feeling the coolness of the water seeping into the earth. Her tears slowed, but the river continued, fed by the sorrow she had already given. The lion pressed his mane against her ankle, purring in his deep, rumbling way. "Do you see, Amma?" he said. "Your sorrow is not a curse. Even your tears are a blessing." Amma looked at him, her face trembling. "I thought my sadness belonged only to me. I thought it was a wound I carried alone." She turned her eyes to the river, where animals drank and leaves unfurled. "But my tears, they are life for the world." The lion's wisdom. The lion climbed the hill beside her, his golden eyes meeting her vast grey ones. "You have always thought yourself a burden," he said. "Too large, too strange, too lonely to belong. But the forest has always known. It has waited for this moment. Even in your sorrow, you give life. Amma lowered her head, her silver hair spilling over her knees. But why must I ache so deeply? The lion leaned against her. Because hearts as large as yours must ache. That is their nature. And yet, hearts as large as yours can heal a world. For the first time in decades, Amma smiled. It was a fragile smile, but it lit her face like dawn breaking after endless night. The river grew stronger through the night. It carved its way further and further, carrying Amma's tears beyond the forest. It reached villages where wells had run dry, where children cried for water. Farmers woke to find their fields soft again, their crops rising green and tall. They named the river without ever knowing its true source. They called it Amara, meaning gift of the gods. But the forest knew the truth. As the moon rose, silver and whole, Amma lay beside the lion at the river's edge. She did not sleep. Instead, she listened to the murmur of the water, the sound of her own heart flowing across the land. The ache in her chest did not vanish. But it changed. It was no longer a wound. It was a river. The lion placed his head upon her knee, his mane spilling across her skin. Remember this, Amma, he said softly. As long as rivers flow, you will never be forgotten. The forest hushed around them, cradled by the sound of water. The moon shone upon the silver river, and every creature, great and small, lifted its head in silent thanks to the giant woman whose sorrow had become their salvation. And though Amma still lived with her loneliness, she was no longer truly alone. For the forest would always remember her. And the lion, the king of the jungle, would never leave her side.